Hello, my name is Matthew, and for the month of November, I gave myself a self imposed rule. I restricted my reading to everything Roman, ancient Roman literature, ancient Roman history, biography, and for the whole month, I've kept true to that goal that I had of only reading ancient Roman history and literature. And we're getting towards the end of the month, not quite there yet. And as a sort of a reading wrap up or a monthly wrap up, I thought I would just talk a little bit about the overview of my um, reading for nonfiction November and um, all the ancient Roman works that I've been reading. And if you've been following along, I've been reading these biographies of Julius Caesar by Plutarch and Suetonius, and then Galba, of all people, by Plutarch and Suetonius. The reason I chose Galba, if I hadn't mentioned it before, it was the only figure that I could find that Plutarch and Suetonius both um, overlapped on and had written biographies on. So it was Caesar and Galba. And for Plutarch, I was reading the Robin Waterfield translation for Julius Caesar, anyway, and also the Dryden translation, which I read. Volumes 1 and 2. I'm just holding both up. The Julius Caesar biography and the Galba biography. I also read quite a few other biographies by Plutarch. I read the Sulla and Pompey. They were figures that came up in the Julius Caesar biography. I was just interested to see how they, um, how the story of their lives intersected and connected. And also, um, some other great biographies. It was Cato the Elder and Aemilius Paulus. They're much earlier Roman figures that were great. And then Suetonius. So for Suetonius, I was reading the Catherine Edwards translation for Julius Caesar and Galba. And then for each one, I also read the Robert Graves translation. And I don't know why, but I'm not a fan of Robert Graves. His prose style just has never worked on me. So I really enjoyed the Catherine Edwards translations much more. I felt like they were clear and energetic and fun to read. Suetonius feels like a fun biographer to read. There's always a bit of scandalousness. And at this point, um, a lot of my reading, I even though I was strict to keep in the world of ancient Roman literature, I fell into a fault that um, in the whole rest of my reading, I know is a mistake, and it's that hen pecking, going from one book to another, reading 20 pages or reading 100 pages, and then moving on to something else. So um, I started reading both the Histories and the Annals of Imperial Rome by Tacitus, um, and also I'll show um, the Rise of Rome. And I'll try to explain what my thought process was with both of these. Tacitus and Livy both are exciting reading. It's lively. They're both clear and direct, but it feels as the story, the events move at such a brisk pace that it's overwhelming. And both of them, the assumption that I have is that they're writing to an audience that has some understanding of these events already. I believe that they are written well enough that you don't have to know anything, but it moves along so quickly that it is overwhelming, and I start getting confused and befuddled and start searching for a reason why that is. And so, reading about the Roman Empire around the time of Julius Caesar and all the Caesars after that, and thinking, well, maybe I'm confused because I didn't start early enough. How did ancient Rome really begin? And that's how I went from reading Tacitus and thinking, well, I'll go back to Livy. Livy, where is it? His first few books are the Rise of Rome, and it begins with the founding of Rome. And the thing I still don't understand is, it seems like as far back as you can go, as soon as there is a Rome, it always already feels like it's ancient and it's been around forever, and there's families that have ancient lineages, and there's royal bloodlines, and already this aristocracy steeped into the life and world of Rome. And so I started reading Livy again and going, well, it's already started again. It's already Rome with this great history. And so there was a bit of henpecking. Then thinking, well, I'll go back to Machiavelli with the discourses of Livy. And the preface of the beginning of the first book by Livy really encapsulates what I would like to think my goal is, the reason that I am interested in reading all of these histories in ancient Rome. And this is what Livy has to say. My wish is that each reader will pay the closest attention to the following: how men lived, what their moral principles were, under what leaders and by what measures at home and abroad our empire was won and extended. Then let him follow in his mind how, as discipline broke down bit by bit, morality at first foundered, how it next subsided in ever greater collapse, and then began to topple headlong in ruin, until the advent of our own age, in which we can endure neither our vices nor the remedies needed to cure them. It's amazing. Just such a contemporary feeling, just a statement and thought process that feels very, very present. And how men lived, what their moral principles were. What a great goal to have when you're reading history, and to have it so eloquently put. So a whole bunch of books here. Some of the diversions, when I wasn't really up to reading Tacitus or Livy or Plutarch or Suetonius, I would go to letters, the selected letters of Cicero and the letters of Pliny the Elder. The letters of Pliny the Elder are much more fun to read. They really feel like you're getting the town gossip, you're getting the scoop on what's going on. Cicero's letters always feel like they're really meant for the public, or meant for publication, impersonal. Even when they are personal, it's hard to describe. They feel more like lectures. I'm sorry about the lighting. The sun is directly behind my head. I read the Eclogues by Virgil, which I found to be wooden and dull and artificial and not quite helpful. Juvenal, who has been such a blessing for the month. My absolute go-to reading when I want pure entertainment, and it's so great to read something that was written so long ago, different time, different city, different world, and to still have that biting humor and satire and complaining about things that are still very relatable, either trivial, silly things, or also, or rather, also important topics that need to be addressed in a critical way through the lens of satire. I also was spending time with Marshall a little bit. I don't know if it's the translation or not, but I only spent a little bit of time with Marshall and didn't really go back to him. The Daily Life of Ancient Rome, which has really been enlightening when I think about the broader histories that I've been reading, these large stories, the Rome as a republic and Rome as an empire and growing, and the boundaries of Rome and the military and military campaigns and all of the political turmoil and strife and corruption and all those things, to really get a sense that there's everyday people living their lives, being energetic and industrious and productive. There's members of this Roman society that have made all of these things possible. The people figuring out how to build roads and buildings and maps and metallurgy and all of the inventiveness and ingenuity and industriousness that you find all throughout Rome is just fun to read. So I've been really enjoying this book. And I read just a little bit of the biography of Cicero by Anthony Everett. It's a modern, relative, contemporary modern biography of Cicero. It began with Cicero's family, the history of his family, and he came from his parents or grandparents effectively ran or maybe owned a laundromat. And so they had a little business where people would bring in their clothes, and the Ciceros would clean their clothes and bring them and send them off. People would pick up their clean clothes, just to go dry cleaner. Well, they didn't have soap at the time, so what they used was urine, animal urine or human urine, and you would urinate on the clothes and then wash them out, and the chemicals in the urine would, I guess, disinfect the germs in the clothing, and that would be that. You would have your clean clothing. And so owning a laundromat was a little bit disreputable. It was an unclean thing to be in the business doing. I thought that was funny. And so I'm reading all of these things. Let me just try to get a pile of all these books. Oh my God, that I have here. It's a huge pile. It's falling all over the place. There's one stack. God. Well, I can't even hold them all up. They're falling all over the floor. I haven't read all of them. I'm not showing all these books to be impressive, but mostly that the thing that I failed in was not sticking with focusing on whatever I was reading. If I started reading the Histories of Tacitus, just bearing in and spending time with the stories that Tacitus wants to tell in those pages. And I do get so impressed. I forgot Edward Gibbon. He's over there. I get so impressed thinking about the goal that I have is to read about ancient Rome and to start having all of these patches that I'm learning about turn into a tapestry, and I have an understanding of a story by reading all of these different stories. And when you're reading Livy or Tacitus or Edward Gibbon or any of these historians, I can't help but think how much they must have read, the source material, especially the ancient writers like Plutarch and all the rest of them, and how they were reading books or documents, manuscripts that are now lost, and they're just interwoven into their version of the story of their biographies or histories. For Edward Gibbon, how many books did he have to read and study and immerse himself in to be able to string this whole story together? And there's nothing especially interesting in that, because I understand that's the role of a historian for any subject matter that is being focused on. Nonetheless, it really is impressive, and there's a difference in that kind of study and the amount of reading that it takes to know something so well and to see it on the page. It's incredible. And a lot of this, I'm reading it, and I do get a feeling like I think I'm learning something. This really feels like I'm reading something important, and I'm learning. And then at the end of the month, maybe every once in a while, I think to myself, well, what have I learned? And the answer is not much. The answer is more than I know. What I have learned is that the more that I read on a subject that I'd like to think that I'm interested in, the more that I read, the more interested I am, especially in the biographies. And I find, for me, that the biographies are probably the best beginning point to read the Julius Caesar and see Pompey come up and go, oh, well, Pompey, what was he up to? And well, here's another biography, and seeing how the larger story starts meshing together. So the main thing that I've learned all month is that Cicero came from a family of urinators. I'm just kidding. It's been great. The month's not over yet. I'm gonna stick to it. I think to the end of the month. Maybe not. I don't know. But I am absolutely going to continue. Especially the Plutarch's biographies and the biographies in Suetonius, and move on. I think what I've learned is when I start reading Tacitus, to not worry about anything else, to just read Tacitus. What does he want to tell me? So this is sort of like a reading wrap-up for the month. It's all about what I've learned about ancient Roman history. Cicero comes from a family of urinators. Uh, so please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you for watching, and take care.